Welcome to Passive Aggressive Income. This program may contain strong language. The content may not be suitable for audiences under the age of 17. We understand many of our listeners may not agree with all of our personal viewpoints. We in no way, shape, or form mean to be offensive to anyone. Our show notes will provide all of our source material included for each episode. Now let's get passive aggressive. Welcome back to another episode of Passive Aggressive Income. So last week we talked about goal setting and briefly talked about my dear friend and her life's mission. So we thought it would be appropriate to bring her in just so that she can talk about what we briefly touched on. And we have Falon Williams on today.
Yay.
Woo!
Thank you so much
Hi.
for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me on. This is exciting.
So you and I started podcasting back in 2021. I can't believe that's been like 2 years now since
Yeah.
we created All Listen to Wisconsin. It was such a fun time for me making that podcast, and I learned so much from you and the experience. So I owe a lot to you for that.
Yeah, and I feel like I owe it to you also for being here today, but for starting that with Mims, because if it wasn't for all the sins of Wisconsin, then we probably wouldn't have passive aggressive income. And that's not something that I ever would have been probably motivated to do on my own without Mims coming to me with the idea.
Right. Yeah. So it just goes to show that you can start somewhere in a place in life, and then it could lead to a whole different, end result, just by one decision that you made. So it's pretty cool the way that life works.
It
But
definitely is.
we're having Fallon on today because she, besides being amazing, is a multifaceted powerhouse that has several projects going on that fall under the umbrella of passive income. So Fallon is a photographer. She has published her own journal, which we will put the link in for you guys to look up and purchase in the show notes. And she is a motivational speaker and just so much more. And that's what we're going to dive into today. So let's start off with your life's mission, which I talked about in the last episode on spreading the main character mindset. Can you describe what that is and what you do in order to empower this type of mindset?
So, my focus for the last couple of years has been really motivating women to be the main characters in their lives because so often we put everyone else before ourselves.
Yeah.
And usually until something like dramatic happens and we realize, hey, I don't take care of myself at all. So I really just try to teach women how to put themselves first and how it's okay to put yourself first. Like it's not only just okay, but it's necessary. That's really the main character mindset and main character energy is just about realizing like this is your life and your story and you get to control the narrative.
Yeah, I love that so much. And I feel like as women, we are often thought of as like caretakers, and we are, like the homemakers. We take care of our husbands and our children, and it's so rare that I don't know, if you're not like being intentional and thinking about taking care of yourself and making time for yourself and doing things that's just for you and just for fun, then it's so easy to not do that. So getting into the main character mindset is really cool. And I think that's something that's really important for all women to hear. And so, yeah, I'm excited that we're talking about it now on the podcast and diving a little bit deeper into that.
It really helps me knowing that, this is a good way to think about not just when you are having hard times, because that's kind of what happened to me. I was hitting like a rough time in my life, and then I'm like, I should really focus on myself and prioritize how I'm feeling and what I'm doing to empower myself to get through this and just every day. And I feel like that's so true that unless you go through something traumatic or terrible, you don't think about yourself in that way. And I really love that you just on a daily basis remind, your followers and the people in your life and yourself included that you are number one. And I think that's so powerful.
Thank you. Yeah, and it's amazing now because I've talked about it so much that now when I'm not playing the main character in my life, people around me will be like, "Hey, don't
Oh,
you teach
wow.
this?"
Right. Oh my gosh, I love
Like,
that.
yeah, you're right. I do.
It's only human though. Like that's such a human thing to do is just to focus on your life and like other people and to put yourself on the back burner. So I love that your mindset is spread to the people around you that have to remind you
Yeah.
to put yourself first. So that's awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that once you say something out loud, when you say like I'm going to do something, or like as we were talking about in last week's episode about goal setting, if you say I'm going to achieve this by X amount of time, and when you put that out into the universe and you tell other people in your lives, then they can hold you accountable, and it just makes it easier for you to like stick with it. And so spreading the main character energy and telling everyone in your life that this is your plan and you really want to put yourself first and focus on your mental health and feeling good and having a happy life, then other people can hold you accountable too. So I'm happy that you have people in your life that are doing that for you.
Thank you. Me too.
So you have a very unique and palpable brand. Can you describe it and tell us how you built it?
So my brand has a lot of stuff going on because I'm multi-passionate. But right now, it all kind of focuses on those same basic concepts of being like the main character. So everything is about empowering women. I do coaching and motivational speaking and photography, and all of it really is about empowering women. And yeah, that came about just from my own passion of feeling like I wasn't putting myself first for a long time and I wasn't really feeling happy with my life. Like I was just going through the motions. And one day I was like, why am I doing all of these things I don't really want to do anymore? Like I'm
Right.
just doing what I think I should be doing and I don't really like it. So now I'm going to do what I want to do. And then I was doing personal training with women and I realized most of the problems that women were having were mindset related. And most
Mhm.
of it was because they were never putting themselves first. A lot of times they were only in the gym because something happened with their health and now they're forced to take the time for themselves.
Right.
And really all they need is like some motivation, encouragement to be like, it's okay to take care of yourself. It's okay to put yourself first. And through that, I kind of began growing more into like the mindset training aspect of it. And then over time, it evolved into this main character energy that I'm focused on now.
Did you have like a specific catalyst that, one day something pushed you to turn your mindset into this type of mindset, or was it just kind of like a lot of things happened at once, or can you remember like one specific moment you felt like I need to change?
I think the first moment that I realized things really weren't working is during COVID
Oh, okay.
because we got, everybody was getting the notifications like everything is shutting down. And everybody around me was panicking. And I said, thank God I don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
Like, I can have a 2 week vacation. I don't have to bring anybody anywhere. I don't have to like leave and go to work. I don't have to do any of these things. And I was like, after a couple of days, I had been thinking, like, why is everybody panicking? This is amazing. And I was like,
Yeah.
wait a minute. Why did I need a global crisis in order for me to be like, hey, you should take some time for yourself? Like, this is really messed up.
Right.
That
Yeah.
was the beginning of like, okay, this life clearly isn't working.
hmm
That I'm so happy that I don't have to do it anymore.
Yeah. I think that people took COVID in two different ways. They panicked because they didn't have childcare, or kids didn't go to school, or everybody was in the home, so everybody was on top of each other, and that just is chaotic. And other people were like, finally, I get time to be with my family and not have to worry about the daily grind and just be present. So two different ways, and I'm glad that you
Yeah.
took it in the positive way of just like, you know what, this is really coming at a good time, and I needed this like as a reset. So good for you.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I find it so interesting that, I mean, sometimes it does take something so extreme to make you want to reevaluate your life and change what you're doing and how you're living. And as someone who's
Mhm.
also like currently going through a career change and I've sort of flipped things on its head in my life, what were, especially during like middle of COVID, what were some of the things that you did to like work through a transition into like doing something different with your life? And was it like easier because of COVID, where you can kind of slowly transition into something different, or was it like really difficult at that time?
Well, I didn't have much choice because I was doing personal training and I was doing classes in nursing homes with people that had dementia.
Oh, wow.
So I was going into these facilities 3 times a week, and I have multiple facilities I was going to. So, and at the same time, I was planning on opening my own like boutique fitness studio. And I had gotten a call from the place I was going to rent from saying, like, oh, I don't like, for whatever reason, something incorrect came up on my background check. And I was really frustrated. But then I was like, a little voice was like, I don't think this was meant to be. And I was like, okay, I don't know what's going on. But like an hour later, I got a call from the facility that I was at saying, like, we're not allowed to have any visitors in the facility anymore.
Oh,
And I was
wow.
like, what? And they're like, yeah, we can't have any outside people coming in. And at the time, like in Wisconsin, COVID was still kind of like, oh, well, people have COVID.
Right.
Like we weren't taking it seriously at all. So I was like, okay, I can't go to work anymore.
Mhm.
And then because school didn't shut down for probably 2 weeks after that. So I had 2 weeks of like, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing now. I can't go to work anymore. Like I can get unemployment. So now I have like the means to transition
Mhm.
to something else, but it was a forced transition at first. And then I could slowly over that time transition into what I really wanted to be doing. Because people had so many like mindset issues that popped up during COVID because all of a sudden you're at home and you have to deal with everything that's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it was a great time to be like, oh, I can help you because I'm at home.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to jump back to one of your passions that I know is fairly new to you. And I want to talk about you being a photographer and all the things that you're doing with that and how you started pursuing that passion.
Okay. I've been doing photography like for fun
Mm-hmm.
forever, but
Okay.
I hadn't really thought about it as like a career at first. And then I was kind of critical of some other photographers' work. So there was some local businesses that were using some photographers and that I was modeling for. And I was like, I don't really like their vibe, their energy, the way they interact with people for multiple different reasons. So I was like, I'll do the next photo shoot. Give me a chance, I'll do it. And then I did. And then I was like, this is what I love. It makes me so happy. And like the first big photo shoot that I did for people that I didn't know was a plus size photo shoot. And everybody told me like how good they felt and how empowered they felt. And it was an amazing feeling just to help women feel beautiful and make it a positive experience. And I was hooked after that.
Yeah. I mean, that goes along with what you do as for coaching and for your mindset anyways, and you're just practicing it behind the camera. So that's really cool that you incorporated that too. And I remember you taking pictures just for fun with me, and you were always like, "You look hot, you look beautiful," even when I didn't feel that way. And I'm like, you know what? You're right. And that really does help.
Well, you did look hot. You always look hot.
Yeah,
But
and
it's
I
hard for you to believe that of yourself, and it's so helpful to have that
Yeah.
person behind the camera being like, no, like you should see the way you look right now. That's so helpful.
Yeah, because I've done a lot of modeling. It's never been like that for me. But the
Right.
photographers are never like that. They're always just like, can you move your arm here? Like,
Yeah.
don't move your face. Your face is good. Don't move it. And I'm just like,
Or don't do that.
okay, or don't smile. Why are you smiling? I'm like,
Right.
I do not want to be that kind of photographer.
No.
Yeah, it's such a skill to be able to work with people and make them feel comfortable in such an like uncomfortable, unnatural situation to be in front of a camera and to have like all of the attention on you. That can be really, really scary for some people. So, and it's almost like therapy where you kind of have to like work through it with them and having that skill and like being able to combine your skills with like coaching and empowerment of women and also give them like a physical product in the form of photos is just so genius to me.
Yeah, that's so
Thank
true.
you. Yeah, I did a brand shoot yesterday, just like a quick little brand shoot for a woman that I know, and she's never gotten professional pictures done. So it was like at the beginning, it is awkward. They're uncomfortable, and then I'm like a little like shy at first too. I'm like, okay, we gotta turn the music on. We gotta just be
Yes.
silly. And like once you take some silly pictures, and then you start being more natural, and it ends up being so fun. And I love when people have a good experience. Like you can have good experience and amazing photos at the end. That's the best because people remember when they see the pictures, then they remember the experience that goes along with them.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right. So, Mims mentioned that you also have published your own journal. Was self-publishing as daunting as it sounds? And can you describe what your journal is all about?
Self-publishing really, I didn't find it to be that difficult. It's pretty simple. I went through Amazon, KDP. So if you like have a basic understanding of Word programs or like Google Docs, they have all the templates and everything for you to format it. So that makes it pretty easy to do that part of it. But some people just don't like technology. So if you don't like technology, you're not going to want to self-publish.
Yeah, that is so me right now. Like I'm also writing like a passion project and like the real stuff that because I'm finishing it and I'm thinking about like
Yeah.
the real stuff that comes after that. I'm like, I don't even want to think about that, but it's coming up here soon. So I applaud you for getting your journal out there because to
Thank
me
you.
it's daunting and I love that you did that for yourself.
Yeah, I have two of them that I have published, and I was gonna do two more, but I don't know where the rough drafts went, like in the cloud somewhere. So I'm like, maybe I'm not gonna do those two anymore. But they're guided tarot journals. So they have questions, and then you can combine them with a tarot card pull to help you dive deeper into your subconscious because we might consciously answer a question one way, but if you pull a card and it's like, hey, what about this? Then you're like, okay, yeah, there's a little bit of that going on too. And then you can dive deeper into what the issues are. And they each have each book has three different categories of questions that it goes into to help you grow in different ways.
And
That's
so
awesome.
where can you find your journal? So you said like on Amazon, people can search for it and
Yep, they're captivated guided tarot journals and they're available on Amazon.
awesome. Then we will definitely put the link in the description of this episode too.
Thank you. The
Are
best
there
thing about Amazon, I think, is they print your books for you. So you
Oh,
don't have to
nice.
have you don't have to have 10,000 books at your house. You can order your own copies and then sell them. Because I have physical copies I sell locally. But if people order them on Amazon, Amazon takes care of it for you.
Mm-hmm.
So you
That's
don't have to
awesome.
worry about anything. You just publish it and then you're done. And then you just collect your royalties. So
What a world to live in. 2023.
right.
Thank you, Bezos.
He did
So,
something
are there
good.
any other projects that you are currently working on or just are passionate about that you pick up here and there?
Um, right now I am focusing more on photography and helping other people build their brands. I have made my courses, like my main character energy, it's all in a course now. If
Nice.
people want to add on coaching, they can, but it's all self-guided. So that's also completely passive on my end at this point because I did all the work, got it all uploaded. It has, the videos, the journals, everything that you need is there. So you
Nice.
can do it on your own time. But then, of course, if you need extra support, I can offer that too. But I'm getting more into like the photography and branding because that's where my passion really is.
Yeah, that's super awesome. I'm also a photographer, and doing those sorts of shoots are super rewarding.
They are, yes.
So you are involved in so many different things at once. What motivates you to grind every morning the way that you do?
I just really want to have a life that makes me happy. So sometimes that means in the beginning, you have to put in a lot of extra work, more than you might have to do at a normal job. But you can get up every day and go to work for somebody else, and that's all that you do. Or you can get up and go to work for yourself and really build something that means something to you and you can be proud of long term. So that's really what motivates me is like, I know that I have to do these certain steps if I want to get to where I want to be. So I just keep going.
Yeah, I think that Lexi and I feel that when it comes to real estate, that at first, you're learning and at first you buy like a fixer upper or, whatever the case may be, and you're putting in all that sweat equity and you're just every day seems like it's a construction site. And a lot of people are like, yeah, I would never want to do that. I'm like, well, it's not forever. You're putting in the grind right now because long term, you're gonna, it's only gonna elevate you in your life. And of course, nobody wants to do that forever, every single day. That's why you put in the hard work at the beginning. And
Mm-hmm.
when you aren't able to put in that hard work, due to being super busy or age or whatever the case, maybe you don't want to. We've also discussed on, handing over the reins to people that are professionally involved and things like that so that you are not overburdened. So yes, at the beginning, it's a lot of building and building, but at some point it does, it keeps going up and you see the fruits of your labor, and that's super awesome to me. That's like my form of my legacy because I'm not gonna have any kids, and for me, I see all the work that I put in and I'm like, that's it right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that goes back to a pattern. Something that we talk about all the time on this podcast is just avoiding the instant gratification mindset and being willing to put in the work and live in a construction zone for the time being, to use Mim's example. And then eventually you're going to have a beautiful place and you can rent that out and you'll see the fruits of the labor coming in month after month in the form of rent. And you can take that and invest it into something else that you're interested in, or take a vacation because you've earned it. And
Yeah.
that's kind of where I'm at right now. My flooring is finished. I know the last couple episodes that we were talking about, I was in the middle of a construction zone. So right now my house is finally clean, and it hasn't been that way in a couple months. So we're reaping the fruits of all of the hard work.
For sure.
That's awesome.
So we've talked about what you're currently doing. I'm interested in, because I know that all three of us are goal-oriented people. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Where do you envision yourself in the future?
In 5 years, I want to be making most of my income on like amazing kind of photo shoots. It's my ultimate goal when my kids are graduated. I'm just going to travel and do like exotic, glamorous photo shoots, like a
Love
travel
that.
photographer, like in the desert with like the big, huge
Ooh,
dresses and just,
yes.
yeah. So I'm working towards that. That's my ultimate goal. So I have My youngest is in 6th grade. So when he's graduated, I do not want to be sitting in one place at all. Like I'm a true Sagittarius. I want to just like never sit down in one place. I just want to be all over the place doing things that I love.
Yeah, I feel that in my bones because I am also a Sagittarius. We're literally like a few days apart or a day apart or something like
A day
that.
apart.
A day
Yeah.
apart. It's crazy. And I feel that too. We travel around so much and I'm just like drink it all in and then I think about when I come back home how I want to go back somewhere else. So I feel
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I love that. So, Mims and I are, when we do this podcast, we're from the perspective of two people who don't plan on having children. And so bringing guests on like you, I think is really important to get that different perspective. So, what
Mhm.
advice would you give to our listeners and to women with children that want to leave their 9 to 5 jobs and pursue their passions as a source of income?
I think a lot of times as a mom, it's easier to work for yourself while you have children because you can make your schedule more flexible.
Mhm.
I mean, the only thing you have to worry about is the consistent income because you have other people you have to provide for. When you're by yourself, it's a little easier because you have less bills and responsibilities. And if you're short on something and it's just you can kind of figure it out. But with kids, like you don't have a choice. You have to pay
Right.
for all of these certain things all the time. So I think it's important that you have like a solid income plan before you leave your 9 to 5. Don't just wake up and be like, oh, I'm going to be rich off my business tomorrow
Right.
because it doesn't really work like that. And I know people will show up on the internet and make it seem like, oh, yeah, I made 3 posts and now I'm rich.
Mhm.
And they don't tell you that they've been working on this behind the scenes for 10 years. So just having that solid income plan, if you can save up enough money like for a few months of bills before you just quit your job because business is hard.
Yeah.
You have to be committed.
Yeah. Especially when everybody else is equally as competitive as you. You know, everything is everybody's trying to get their money and get the bag. So, I mean, you should have equally amount of the same energy as the rest of us out there that are chasing after it too.
Yeah.
So,
Especially in like a field like photography where there's
mm,
so many photographers and everyone is so it's just such a competitive field and it sounds like you've been able to find sort of a niche where you can stand out and you're offering people an experience in addition to photos.
yeah, that's so true.
Yeah.
And
And
I
it's
love
still
that.
hard to find clients though. Like business is hard. I think that's something that people have to realize. It's still a job. You're usually
Yeah.
working harder and more than you would work for anybody else. It's not
Yes.
like, oh, well, I'm going to quit my job and I'm going to be on the beach. And someday
Maybe
you'll be
one
on the
day,
beach.
yeah.
A lot of days you're going to be working.
Yeah. And I like that you said that about people on social media and making it seem like, oh, in a day you can make a certain amount of money and you could be living like me and blah blah blah. And I know Lexi and I have talked about not giving into that like glamorous type of again instant gratification of you sign up for this and then you're gonna make tons of money, but it really doesn't work that way. So I love that you covered, you know, building and not feeding into that too, because it's not a turnaround.
No, and I know a lot of the people that like say this stuff and they're like, oh, you can make as much money as me, but I know that they're struggling behind the scenes to pay bills. So I don't know
Mhm.
like why they're sharing this message with people that don't, that people don't know. People believe the messaging that they're seeing, and it's just simply
Right.
not true. If you're not putting in the work, you're not making any money. You're not just sitting at home and like, I totally believe in manifesting, but manifesting requires work too. It doesn't just like,
Yes.
I feel great, so all the money is coming to me instantly.
If only it were that easy.
I wish, right?
So I have one last question for you. What would you say to current, past, future naysayers, to the people that don't believe in your vision and try to like downgrade it or just say like you're crazy for thinking that you can do all of this and you're crazy for thinking that you can with kids still in the house. What would you say to them?
Well, I think the most common like negative thing that I get is, oh, you want to be the main character because you're selfish and you want all the attention. Like,
Oh,
Oh
no, I want
no.
you to be the main character in your life too. But this here is my story, and I get to write it the way that I want. And you can write yours the way that you want. If you want me to be a villain in yours, that's okay. Fine with that.
yeah.
But yeah, I think people know how motivated I am and how hard that I work. So I don't get a lot of the like, well, you can't do this.
Mm-hmm.
I get most of the negative comments I get are about me constantly being on social media. And they're usually from people that I don't know. They're usually from
Yeah.
like old weird men.
I was gonna
They're like,
say that I'm surprised that women come to you and say you're being selfish by wanting to make it about yourself and your own life. That seems like something a man would say.
it's usually men. I've gotten some like weird comments from women, but generally it's men.
hmm
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
that
women
sounds about
know
right.
that we're always getting put second. Like women understand that for the
Right.
most part.
And unfortunately, some women buy into that, you know?
Yeah, it's gross.
Yeah.
I
Well,
guess that's their story.
that's their story, not ours, because we've learned so much about you and all these takeaways. I am still learning from you. So I'm glad that I have you in my life and I'm glad that you were able to come on. I'm so thankful that you made some time in your busy schedule because it's so valuable. And I also want our listeners to check out Fallon's socials on Instagram and Facebook. Do you have anything else on like
TikTok.
Oh, TikTok too. Can't forget that. Just to see and hear all of her inspiring and informative videos and to sign up for her mindset coaching classes as well. Um, if you need someone who will motivate the hell out of you, Fallon is your person. And again, we're going to have everything in the show notes so that you can easily access all of her platforms.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
You're
thank you so
welcome.
much, Fallon. It was awesome having you on for this episode. I feel like, you're just such an inspirational person that I'm excited that we get to share that on passive aggressive income too.
Oh my God, you guys are the sweetest. Thank you.
We try.
All
All
right.
right.
Well,
Thank
thank
you.
you. Yep. Thanks everyone for listening, and we will see you next week.
Bye.
Bye. Passive Aggressive Income was written, recorded, edited, and produced by co-hosts and creators Mims and Lexi. We truly want to thank our listeners, collaborators, friends, and family that continuously support us for all the love we receive. If you enjoy our show, please give us a glowing rating and review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Also, follow us on Facebook and Instagram to see what we are up to. For any inquiries, please email passiveaggressiveincome2023@gmail.com. Episodes of Passive Aggressive Income are available wherever you listen to podcasts, so make sure to subscribe and like us on your favorite streaming platform.